Well, hello, oh you beautiful human being. Welcome to Waffle-Free Storytelling. It's Tina Konstant here. And oh, need I say it? The waffle is at the end, so we're jumping right into today's story, which is called Feet in Red Clay. I want to tell you Kumanchi's story. She was born in the wild southern plains where the springbok roams under the bright hot sun through the day and rests under a world of stars through the night. In this place the grass is hard and brown. Now usually it would take just one rainfall for the valleys to turn green and lush, but the rains hadn't fallen here for 100 years. After all those years, there was nothing but rocks and stones and sand and bones and scorpions and red-hot clay. But Kumanchi knew it as the only place on earth. Her family had lived around the same well for generations, and if the stories were true, her family had lived around that well since the dawn of time itself. Kumanchi knew those stories were true because of the caves. They were wide and deep and cool and dark, and there was only one way to reach them. You had to go along a steep, rocky path, around a two-faced thorn tree, across a bone-dry riverbank, and past the place where the cobra danced. In those cool, dark, ancient caves, where the floor was layered with thick red clay, you will see handprints and footprints of Kumanchi's ancestors. Now every day Kumanchi walked that path to the caves filled with memories. She'd put her hands in that red clay exactly where her great-great-great-grandparents stood, and she would wonder if her ancestors ever thought of all the generations to come. But the real reason Kumanchi was drawn to that cave every day was the sense that someone else was there. Someone was watching her and noticed her and was witnessing her life. And because that feeling was so real, Kumanchi always said hello when she entered the cave, and she said goodbye when she left. Of course, she never expected an answer. So when she got one dark morning well before dawn, Kumanchi listened. "Follow me to the green, green valley," the voice said. "All the riches there are yours." Well, follow who? Kumanchi thought, and to what green, green valley? Kumanchi looked down to the ground, and right in front of her eyes, deep red footprints appeared in the clay. Well, a wave of terror swept through her body. Instead of following those footprints, she ran back up the path, past where the cobra danced, around the two-faced thorn tree, and to her village where the morning fires were already lit and her family and neighbors were waking up and preparing for another hot, dry day. "There are feet in the red clay," Kumanchi said, but no one would listen. Tired from not enough sleep, uncomfortable in the heat, hungry from not enough food, and worried about what the day would bring, the village elders simply kissed her on the head and told her to rest. Desperate for someone to listen, she called to her 7 siblings and all of her friends, and she told them what she had seen and what she had heard. But much to Kumanchi's annoyance, all they did was kiss her on the head and tell her to rest. "Rest!" she yelled. "Come with me in the morning and I'll show you." Well, the next morning, long before the sun came up, Kumanchi woke her siblings and all of her friends and tried everything she could to get them to follow her. But no matter what she said, they just kissed her on the head and told her to rest. Well, angry, so angry at being ignored, Kumanchi ran down the steep rocky path alone. She went around the two-faced thorn tree, across the bone-dry riverbank, past where the cobra danced, and at that cave she put her hands in the red clay and called out. "I'm here," she said. "Show yourself." For a long while nothing happened. Kumanchi was just about to give up when she finally heard that voice. "Follow me to the green, green valley," the voice said. "All your riches are there." Once again, print by print, footsteps appeared before her in the deep red clay. This time, Kumanchi didn't hesitate. Instead of turning right out of the caves heading back to the village, she turned left and followed the feet in the clay. The footprints went up the mountainside, along a steep, narrow cliff, through a tight tunnel that twisted and turned, and finally out the other side. And just as the voice promised, for as far as Kumanchi could see, there were valleys and meadows, waterfalls and trees laden with so much fruit that Kumanchi couldn't believe they were still standing. Without so much as a pause, she turned around, ran through the tunnel as fast as her legs could carry her. She ran around the mountain, past where the cobra danced, across the bone-dry riverbank and back to the village. "Wake up!" she shouted. "I found a place where there is more food than we can imagine, and the fields are green and the valleys flow with water." It was Kumanchi's grandmother who came to her, kissed her on her head and said, "My precious Kumanchi, follow the prince in the red clay. Go to that place. I will join you when I must." Knowing her grandmother never lied, Kumanchi left her house and ran to the edge of the village. Right in front of her eyes, deep footprints appeared in the red clay. Looking back to see her family gather around the fireside, throwing wild flowers into the flames, Kumanchi followed those footprints down the rocky path, past where the cobra danced, up the mountainside, through the tunnel, and into the valley where water flowed like honey. "You have found your way," the soft voice whispered. Kumanchi stared in wonder at so much green. "My grandmother will come when she must," she said. "That she will," the voice replied. "That she will." There you go. That's a real gentle story for you on this very peaceful day. So whatever you've got planned, remember how brief and magnificent life is. There are challenges all over the place. Oh my goodness. They come in every form you can possibly imagine. But we meet each one and we rise the next day and we move on and we live and we learn. And, well, then we'll just see what happens next. Okay, you beautiful human being. Have a glorious day. Drop around to www.tinakonstant.com and I'll see you next week for more wild and woolly shenanigans from the WAFFLE-FREE universe. Bye bye now.